What's going on, my people? What's happening? Wealth logic. I think it was important to talk about this topic just a little bit briefly because in the African American community we can't seem to get along. And in my opinion, a lot of the reason that we can't get along because statistically we are all looking for less than 1% of people. So I like to start this off real fast by telling you something that I think you should know. I think women should know this specifically. 1% of wealthy men control 90% of wealth, which means that the remaining 99% of men only have access to 10% of wealth. The problem is, in a traditional household, traditional times, women were okay with being home. That meant that 99% of men had access to 10% of wealth, roughly. Now that women want to be equal to men, there's still only 10% of wealth available. If now 50% of women are in the workforce compared to if there's an equal amount of men and women in the workforce, that means that 10% of wealth that's available to all people that are not wealthy has to now be divided. So that means there's half the amount of wealth available to men compared to 1950. But a woman actually wants a man that makes more money. So, process of elimination. If there's only 10% of wealth available to the average man and women don't want traditional lifestyles, meaning they would rather go out and get the wealth themselves, then they're actually making it 50% harder to find a man that's able to take care of them simply by participating in the workforce. It's not my opinion, it's just the numbers. If 1% of wealthy men control 90% of the wealth, then that means that 99% of all men only have access to 10% of wealth. If only men worked, then men would have access to 10% of all of the wealth and be able to take care of women. But women work, so that 10% of wealth is cut in half. So 99% of men have access to 5% of wealth and desire a woman that's at least in the top 10 percentile of looks or femininity. It's crazy when you think about it. Like when you look at the numbers, when you really look at the numbers, it's actually kind of remarkable when you look at the numbers. But we can look at other numbers too. Like if you think I'm jonesing, I'm not. That graphic that I created actually was derived from some articles. So this is one of the articles that supports the graphic. It shows that 2021, almost twice as many women joined the workforce than men. Remember, only 10% of wealth is available for men and women. Only 10% of wealth is available. And if there's twice as many women compared to men that have the jobs, then that means that there are twice as many men that are less likely to be husbands because they're not in the workforce. So I'm not suggesting we should or shouldn't, women should or shouldn't. I'm just simply putting the data out there. So the more women want to be married to men that earn money, the less men that are available to earn money by default because there are more women in the workforce. So statistics, how do you yin and yang? And then a lot of men want traditional women that don't exist. So if they can't get that, then what's the point in them working? Men go to work because the idea of working and to have a family. Women go to work because, like, I guess it's a career aspiration. It's something like within them that they have to do. But we go to work because we want to take care of a family. That's kind of what we want. But as a result, once again, 1% of wealthy men control 90% of wealth. 99% of men have access to 10% of wealth. Since equality is real, and I'm with you, that means that now that pot, that 10% of wealth that's available to all men and women all men who are not a part of that 99%. Now they only have access to 5% because it's an equal world and women can compete, which they should. So, but just like with all things, you can't have it all, even though that's a part of another video I was sharing earlier, because it was talking about where the woman can have it all. It was actually started in Cosmo. It was started in Cosmo as like, you know, something cool, I guess, that sounded good amongst women, but it was just something to sell magazines. It's just something that they use. It was like a Playgirl ideology. It was like it was meant to be like the female version of Playboy. But even the women that wrote in the magazines that knew they wrote lies regretted it. Look, it's in the magazines.
What do you know? Cosmo. Cosmo and a couple other corporations led women astray. Yeah, they led women astray. They played upon their emotional desire to be equal to men and led them down a sexual promiscuous path in the name of liberation. Yes, Cosmo. Cosmo, the writers from them came out to regret and said that it was a mistake. They knew it was a lie. Just like Roe versus Wade was built on a lie, because even before she died, she came out and regret her decision.
Yeah, as you see, it's multiple articles. It even says that the goal of it was to sell liberation, the path to it. They said it's propaganda, sophisticated propaganda, half truths, selected truths, out of context. It's used not just to sell products, but also to sell ideas. Yes, again, the goal to sell liberation, path of personal fulfillment. But there's other articles that said the gains in women's rights didn't make women happier. It said that woke ideology is killing marriage and dating. It says that overeducated women and men have marital doom. This article here said on Tinder, women only swipe right 4 out of 100 profiles. This has made women extremely unhappy. It's given them options overload, even though they have the lion's share of purchasing power compared to men. So, unfortunately, feminism has destroyed the modern woman. It made it to where she can't be happy because she's flooded with so many options, and it gets to a point to where there are no more options. And that's the part that's not fair, because they've manipulated a woman's emotions from birth, from the Cinderella story, from the Tooth Fairy, to they keep her in Prince Charming mode her whole life. And it's like, actually it's really predatory, because it's like hacking a woman's emotions and using her emotions against her, and then using her emotions to sell products, and then using her emotions to sell more products, and then using her emotions to keep her unhealthy, and then using her emotions to validate being unhealthy. So the doctor always has a job, because she always is going to have high blood pressure. She's always going to have high blood pressure, so they're always going to have a job. They're taking advantage of her emotional vulnerability in every facet. And even if you want to protect a woman, anything you say, because they've been taught to have a hatred towards men, anything you say will be viewed as hatred, even though you're trying to protect them from the corporation that's manipulating them and hacking their biology. The corporations are hacking their biology and manipulating it and controlling their dopamines, and they use likes. They use the like button, the chat room, as dopamine. So, just like an obese person can be addicted to eating, because eating gives you dopamine and it gives you a euphoria. Remember, sugar is more addicting than cocaine. So we can't invalidate a woman's need for that dopamine, just like we can't invalidate a person's, it's actually a disorder. There's actually something called selfie-itis. I wish I was playing, but I'm not. It's actually a disorder. And as if you take a certain amount of selfies, whether you post them or not on a daily basis, then you probably have that, because that's a compulsive thing. The desire to look perfect, the desire to have the perfect angle. It's actually, look it up. I'm not selfie-itis. It's a thing, but it's the same thing. It's like an obsession. A lot of men are obsessed, have obsessions with sports. They're obsessed with winning. They're obsessed with living vicariously through their team. You know, that team becomes an extension of their identity. And they get the same dopamine through the games as the woman gets from social media. But, you know, a lot of people aren't sophisticated enough to see that. He's dedicated to the team, win, lose, or draw, season tickets. But he's never been dedicated to a woman that much. She's dedicated to her friends, to her career. She's never been dedicated to a man that much. They both are failing to give it their all, but both blame the other side when they're both doing the gender reciprocal failing variable. The bottom line is the corporations have been a weapon to put men and women against each other. Integration between races with segregation between genders. Integration between races with segregation